Hello Star Wars fans, today I'm going to review for you the Hostage Crisis Battle Pack. This is a Target exclusive that features Robonino, what's this guy's name? Shahan Alama, and 2 commando battle droids. So, the main reason why I wanted to buy this battle pack was because it features, 2 bounty hunters, and I'm a big bounty hunter fan. I kind of had this little personal goal of collecting every bounty hunter there is. Let's start with this Shahan Alama. He's a Weequay bounty hunter, and he looks a lot like one of Hondo's guys, one of his pirates. So overall, this is just a fine figure. I guess I'll start with the articulation. He has a ball-jointed head, ball-hinged shoulders and elbows, swivel wrists, swivel waist, swivel legs, and ball-hinged knees. No ankle articulation, which is kind of a bummer, but Clone Wars figures do that a lot. His face is sculpted very, very nicely. Lots of little detail and spikes and grooves all over it. One of the cooler things that he has is these shoulder pads. It's like a, little bit of armor. They're made of like a rubber, so they're kind of soft, which means that he can actually move, and the rubber doesn't hinder his movement. Which is very nice. And I believe it's removable. Yeah, it's not attached to him, although because it, wraps around his arm on both arms, it's probably pretty hard to get off, so I won't do that for you. His wrists are different. One of them is white and has, sort of like a gauntlet-looking look to it, where it's got like armor on it. And the other one is just a regular blue glove. Now this one, I don't know if this is just a problem of mine, but as soon as I took him out of the packaging, his wrist fell off and it just would not stick back in. Right now I have like, putty in there to keep his wrist in. And I looked online, I didn't see that problem for anybody else, but it was kind of a bummer that as soon as I took him out of the packaging, he was already like falling apart. He comes with this little blaster right here, which fits very nicely in either one of his hands, and he also comes with this, oh boy, this little dagger. Which does well in both of his hands as well. Okay, let's talk next about these commando droids. And you know what? They're both the exact same except for their paint. They have different paint applications on the front of them and on the back here, and on the head. Yep, the heads are slightly different too, but it's all blue and black. So I'm just going to show you one at a time. Well, I'm just going to show you one because, like I said, they're both the same. But they have articulation-wise, they have a ball-jointed head and then a swivel neck, back and forth like that. They have ball-hinged shoulders, swivel, elbows, and swivel wrist up at the elbow too. So it's almost like it's ball-hinged elbow and no wrist articulation. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell with these droids. They have some unconventional articulation sometimes. They have a swivel torso there, ball-hinged legs, or hips, swivel knees, and ball-hinged, right? No. Ball-hinged feet. It looked a little bit like ball joint, but it's ball-hinge. Yeah, so very articulated. These guys are actually really nice, really easy to pose and all sorts of cool combat stuff, which makes sense because they're a very combat-oriented droid. The paint is really cool on them, and I'm glad that each one of them has a unique paint job, that they're not exactly the same, although they're definitely, similar enough that they, look like a pair. There's a little detailed sun symbol on the front of them, as well as that red painted light on his chest. It's notable that they have a little hole on the back of them, which can actually fit the blaster that they come with. It has a little peg off to the side, so they can hold a blaster on their back like so. The blaster's, pretty average other than that peg. That's the one thing that makes it a little bit different. One thing I'm not sure about these guys is they're a lot shorter than the 2 other battle droids I have. Now, granted, the ones that I have are not Clone Wars, but this is the height difference here. I'm standing them foot to foot, and you can see there's a big difference in their height. And I don't know if that's commando droids are smaller, Clone Wars droids are smaller, or the ones in this pack were smaller. But it's something. Anyways, let's go on to the last one, Robonino, which is pretty much the reason why that I bought this pack. I mean, of course, I was happy to get the rest, but the one that I was really looking forward to was Robonino, just because he's so interesting, he's so different looking, and you know, this guy's been in a couple of Clone Wars episodes. Obviously, he was in the Hostage Crisis one, but I remember he was also in was it Lightsaber Lost? He like steals Ahsoka's lightsaber and sells it to Hondo or something like that. Cad Bane, I don't remember. But he's a little interesting, one-eyed fish guy, and I guess we'll start with his articulation, which is not impressive at all, but largely because he's a tiny little guy. So he has a ball-jointed head, he has ball-jointed shoulders, but it's a funny sort of ball joint. It's hard to tell on the small guy, but it's kind of like the ball joint that the droid has here. He has swivel waist and swivel legs, and then ball-hinged ankles, and that's it. So you know, no knees, no elbows, no wrists, you know, very limited, but he's also a very tiny character, so you know, it'd be hard to fit stuff in. However, it also means that he's not very posable. He can pretty much stand there and that's it. You know, he can't sit. Also, he can't sit because of this big tail thing right here. His face sculpt is really cool. He's got all these little you know, fishy parts coming off of him. It kind of looks like a beard, but it also looks like fins. He has this softish fish part, like fish tail off the back of his head. Of course, he's got this little stalk eye here and this little cool, what's that, an eye patch over there. And he's painted well with these little blue dots all over his head, as well as pink accents around his beard. This little belt with pouches around his waist is loose on him, it's not connected, but I really don't know how it would be possible to remove him. Maybe breaking him in half at the waist, but I don't know if he can go back together easily. He has a little hole in the back of him to hold this backpack, which is really cool, and I'll show you this backpack now. It has little sculpted detail on the front, as well as a little arabesh that says thermal. Let's see, it opens up right here in this pocket, which I suppose you could hold the this little detonator. It's like a little black box. It's sculpted a little bit, but not painted very much. It's just black, and it can probably be held in there. And I say detonator because all these little these four things right here are little bombs, I suppose. And they just slide in there at the side. They are, once again, black with some nice little sculpting and little red accents on them. But the fact that there's four of them is just really cool. It means that you can, you know, really do a lot with this one backpack. I mean, this is a backpack, 4 explosives, and 1 detonator. I mean, that's already, what, like 6 different accessories, so it's pretty impressive. It looks pretty good on him, I guess, you know, because he was designed wearing it, so it makes sense. And then he has this this little gun, which is really interesting looking. You know, it's very forward heavy with a big old scope on the front, but it's like a tiny little pistol. It's kind of cartoony looking, but I actually like it a lot. It only fits in one of his hands, his right hand. And then the detonator can go in his other hand, like so. And his hands are pretty cool. They've got little, like, webbed fingers with little claws on them, also with pink accents. So, I mean, this is a pretty cool guy. He's just not an impressive guy. The nicest part is definitely all his accessories. You know, that's 7 accessories for one little character. And frankly, you know, between, you know, 2 accessories for this guy and at least a gun for each of the commando droids, this is actually a pretty accessory-heavy pack. So yeah, it's an interesting pack. You know, there's quite a little bit of variation between them. You've got this really interesting little fish bounty hunter. You've got, you know, a Weequay guy, which they're all over the Clone Wars. And then you've got 2 battle droids, and these guys are you know, the most playable things in the pack. You know, with their wide range of articulation and whatnot. So yeah, although it's not a super impressive pack, it definitely has some good pros. If you're a fan of bounty hunters or the Clone Wars or, you know, interesting aliens, I mean, the bounty hunters and the aliens is kind of why I had to get this pack. But you might really want to consider getting this. Yeah, so I hope this review helped, and may the Force be with you.